Ever wonder what it was like to wake up not to an alarm clock, but to the first light of dawn spilling over a sun-baked mud-brick city? Let's travel back in time, nearly 5,000 years. To ancient Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization. Forget the bustling, high-speed world you know. Picture this, a world painted in shades of dusty brown and ochre, where life moved at the pace of a donkey cart, and the air was thick with the scent of clay, cooking fires, and the ever-present dust. This wasn't just any place. This was the land between the two rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates, a fertile crescent that gave birth to cities like Ur and Babylon. But for the average person, life wasn't about grand ziggurats and legendary kings. It was about the rhythm of the seasons, the flow of the rivers, and the daily grind under a relentless sun. Let's start with the morning. As the sun climbed higher, the city would slowly stir. Homes in Mesopotamia were typically built from sun-dried mud bricks, clustered together along narrow, winding streets. Windows were small, high up, and often covered with wooden lattices to keep out the heat and dust while letting in a sliver of light. Inside, the air would be cool and dim. A family would wake on reed mats or simple wooden beds. Breakfast wasn't a lavish affair. It might be a piece of flatbread, perhaps some dates, and a drink of water or beer. Yes, beer. It was a staple of the Mesopotamian diet, safer to drink than river water and a key source of calories. Even children drank a weaker, watered-down version after this simple meal. The city would come alive, the streets, unpaved and dusty, would fill with people. Men would head out to the fields that surrounded the city walls. Farming was the backbone of their world. They'd be tending to crops of barley, wheat, or sesame, working the land with simple wooden plows pulled by oxen. Their lives were dictated by the canals and irrigation channels they painstakingly maintained. A good flood from the rivers meant a bountiful harvest and life. A drought meant hunger and despair. The dust from the fields would cling to their skin, a constant companion in their labor. Back in the city, the marketplace would be the vibrant heart of the community. Imagine the sounds, the bleating of goats, the haggling of merchants, the rhythmic clang of a coppersmith's hammer. Women would gather here to trade barley for fish, wool for pottery, or dates for spices brought by traders from distant lands. It was more than just a place of commerce, it was the social hub, where news was exchanged, gossip was shared, and the pulse of the city could be felt. The air would be thick with the smells of baking bread from communal ovens, onions, and various herbs. For craftsmen, their workshops were their world. A potter would sit at his wheel, his hands covered in wet clay, expertly shaping jugs and bowls. A weaver would work at a loom, creating textiles from wool and flax. A scribe, one of the most respected professionals, would sit in the shade, meticulously pressing a reed stylus into a soft clay tablet, recording everything from grain inventories to epic poems. This invention of writing cuneiform was revolutionary. It allowed them to track trade, create laws, and pass down their stories through millennia. What about lunch? The midday meal was often eaten on the go. A farmer in the field might have more bread, some onions, and perhaps a handful of dried fish. A city dweller might grab something similar from a market stall. The afternoon sun was brutal, so many would seek shade and rest during the hottest part of the day, a practice that makes perfect sense in such a climate. This wasn't laziness, it was a smart adaptation to their environment. The pace of life slowed to a crawl under the oppressive heat. As the afternoon wore on and the heat subsided, activity would resume. Children, who had spent their day helping with chores or playing games with clay toys and dice, would be called back home. Their lives were short, and they were expected to contribute to the family from a young age. Boys would learn their father's trade, while girls would learn to manage a household, a vital and complex set of skills. In the evening, as the sky turned a brilliant orange and purple, families would gather back in their homes. The evening meal was the main social event of the day. They'd sit together, perhaps on the flat roof of their house to catch the evening breeze, and share a stew of vegetables and grains, seasoned with herbs. Meat was a luxury, usually reserved for festivals or special occasions. As they ate, they would tell stories, perhaps recounting the Epic of Gilgamesh, a tale of heroes, gods, and the search for immortality. Religion was woven into the fabric of their existence. They believed in a pantheon of powerful and often unpredictable gods and goddesses who controlled every aspect of their lives, from the harvest to their health. Small offerings and prayers were a daily ritual, performed at home altars to appease these divine forces. As darkness fell, the city would quiet down. With no electricity, the night was truly dark, illuminated only by the moon, the stars, and the flickering light of sesame oil lamps. The silence would be broken only by the chirping of insects or the distant howl of a jackal. Life was precarious, disease was common, and without modern medicine, a simple infection could be fatal. The rivers that gave them life could also bring devastating floods, washing away homes and fields in an instant. War between the city-states was a constant threat. Yet in this dusty, slow-paced world, they achieved incredible things. They invented the wheel, the plow, and writing. They developed complex systems of law, like the famous Code of Hammurabi. They studied the stars, creating the foundations of astronomy and astrology, and divided time into the units we still use today: 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. Their daily life, with all its hardships and simplicity, was the bedrock upon which all of Western civilization was built. Their struggles and innovations echo through history, a testament to human resilience and ingenuity. They weren't just figures in a textbook, they were real people, living, loving, and working under the Mesopotamian sun, shaping a future they could never have imagined. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you enjoyed this glimpse into the ancient world, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history. Let me know in the comments which ancient civilization you'd like to visit next. See you in the next video.